First of all, good morning. Thank you for coming. Welcome to Athens. Nikos.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And a big thank you to the whole team of Panathēnea and all the volunteers. It's amazing what you've done. Thanks, everyone, for being here this morning. We have a bit of a competition in the other stage with two unicorn founders, but here we have the next unicorn founder. So look, 1.5 years ago, I received a text on my phone from a very good friend of mine who has a PhD in machine learning, and the message said, hey, shall I reintroduce you to somebody that you studied together, is a professor in robotics, he's building really cool stuff, and is ready to leave academia and start a startup. Now, I'm a VC. This is the message that we all wait to receive, so obviously I said, yes, please. We had a meeting, and it was quite quick, a decision to invest in Minas and Acumino. And these guys, at that point, they used the term robotics intelligence, right? That was 1.5 years ago. And then 2 months later, he started using the term physical AI. Now, I'm not going to claim that he's the first one who coined the term globally, although that might be the case, but let's just say there were 10 geeks probably who were using that term together. I looked it up this morning, who coined the term. So Gemini says Jensen Huang of NVIDIA coined the term July 2024. Well, definitely I have this guy saying that at least 6 months before. So physical AI, it's the buzzword today. Every startup pitch deck speaks about physical AI. Almost every VC now on the website says they focus on physical AI. What is physical AI? Is it just robotics with better software, or is there a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. Physical AI is how you make robots dexterous like humans. How you make robots intelligent like humans, how they can anticipate what is going to happen, how they can choose their own tasks, how they can act by their own anticipation. And fun fact, and this is a very fun fact for Panathēnea, 2,500 years ago, Aristotle, here in Athens, defined physical AI. 2,500 years before the guys of NVIDIA. And he defined it as, at some point, machines will act on their own behalf by anticipation, and they will choose what to do. And then masters will not need slaves. And then master craftsmen will not need assistants. We are talking about thousands of years ago, predicting that machines will be capable of acting like collaborators of humans. And the fun fact today in physical AI is that it's full of academics. Everywhere you see academic founders, founders that have left academia, or they have two hats. They run a lab during the day, and during the night, or whenever they have time, I don't know, they run a physical AI company. And we're talking about huge valuations.
Right, so let's focus a bit on the academics, since the whole idea here is from lab to market. So you were an academic, you still are. You had one of the largest robotics labs in the world, of all places in Auckland, New Zealand.
Yeah.
So you decided to come from the other side of the world here to start building a robotics company and move away from academia. Why did you do that? But also, what is the biggest learning? What is the most important thing that most academics don't get about the difference from academia to building a business?
Yeah, academics do not get a lot of things. Don't get me started there. First of all, academics, they don't have a good grasp of what the physical world is about. Most of the academics in physical AI, they are computer scientists. I used to be a computer scientist that was converted to a mechanical engineer, combining the two elements to create what I call mechatronic systems. And computer scientists, they say, friction. How difficult friction can be. How difficult contact compliance can be. They cannot appreciate the small things of physical interactions that make the problem very, very, very hard. And academics, they need to rewire their brain. They have learned how to waste money in cool technologies. People need solutions, not cool technologies. Nobody cares if you will have the biggest model. They care, can you have the most reliable model? Can your model make some money for me? Where is the value? It's all about value.
And cool technologies, you say. So we see very often, anyone that's interested in robotics, all these amazing videos online or these amazing announcements. And the videos will show a robot in the house, I don't know, ironing clothes or cleaning a table. And then there are big announcements like, look what amazing things we did. And you've been talking about sim-to-real gap and real-to-real gap and a bit more technical stuff. But what is the essence? Where is the difference between an amazing video, a nice proof of concept demo for a customer, and something real? And by the way, maybe it's a good time to say in a few sentences what you guys do so that you give a good context.
The biggest problem today is that founders spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, creating videos for LinkedIn. What we do, we develop physical AI models that are super reliable, and we deploy them in factories. And how we start? We start with the client need. How we can improve the performance, how we can achieve human-like dexterity, how we can do it in a way that is scalable, cost-efficient, and reliable. If you don't have all three of them, you don't have ROI for the customer. And if you don't have ROI for the customer, you probably have just a very good paper that you can send to a journal. Nothing else. Now, to go back to your question about the demos, I don't know, 10 days ago, I will not say the name, because I don't like going to court with people. There was a very big company, $40 billion valuation, that announced on LinkedIn, look guys, our robot is up in production. And you could see a robot doing this all day and all night. And it was running for, I don't remember, 5 days, 7 days, 8 days. It doesn't really matter. And at the end of the demo, I said, okay, let's see what will happen now. They stopped the full run of the robot, and a team of 100 engineers came from the background to celebrate the demo. 100 engineers. This, to me, it shows two things. Either this has been a lab demo, or they had 100 engineers in the customer side. Both of them, they are not the way to deploy physical AI.
What does a lab demo mean?
Lab demo means that you are in your own facility, in your own basement, in your own office. We have, okay, I will make this clear. This is a take-home message from me. We don't have only a sim-to-real gap. We have also a real-to-real gap. What is the real-to-real gap? If you are in your
What is the sim-to-real gap? Let's unpack those
things. The sim-to-real gap is the fact that simulation is a tool that a lot of people believe in. I don't believe in it at all. Why? Because simulation cannot model well friction, slipping, rolling, deformation of materials that are flexible, all these things that are very, very complex in nature around us, right? So the sim-to-real gap is huge. By the way, NVIDIA is looking for more data in order to train better simulation models, in order to improve the simulation, in order to reduce the sim-to-real gap, in order to make a flywheel effect with simulation-derived data. But we have another big problem in physical AI. We have a real-to-real gap. And what is the real-to-real gap? That when I collect data in my basement doesn't have the conditions of the factory. The factory might have different humidity, different lighting conditions, vibrations, people moving around. It's a different story. So you need data in the factory.
And is a ChatGPT for robotics moment gonna come? I mean, there's a lot of articles that say what happened with text in AI, it's gonna happen in robotics. We're gonna have a big model. Everything is gonna be solved. You laugh, so obviously you think it's not gonna happen.
I laugh because it's very amusing for me.
Yeah.
And I will ask, how many of you use ChatGPT? Excellent. Beautiful tool, right? Very, very valuable for our everyday life. But even these companies that they have created a tool that has changed society, right? they do not know how to monetize this well, and there is a huge competition. How do you monetize this? What kind of subscriptions? Is this sustainable? The cost of infrastructure and the cost of subscriptions, how they compare? Why do we focus on big models? Why there is a race who will have the biggest model? Physical AI should not be like that. So I don't expect that there will be a ChatGPT model, a ChatGPT moment. I don't expect that we will have a foundation model for physical AI that will do everything that we wanted to do. Why? Because in AI, you always have two axes. You have generalization capability and reliability. And you can only move on the diagonal. You cannot have both. Sorry, life is like that. You can be general enough or reliable enough. And in my opinion, you need to focus on reliability, even by compromising generalization capability. I really don't care if a robot will fold the clothes. Nobody cares. I am a roboticist, and I would never buy a robot to do things within my house. I have privacy concerns. I have a problem with having a moving camera within my house, right? But I would love to give all the tasks in a factory that are boring, that are dangerous, that are hurting ourselves to a robot. And this is a $1 trillion opportunity. So small models, reliable models, not a ChatGPT moment, a physical AI moment. And a physical AI moment looks at reliable, specific models for specific industries.
And looking on the investment side and on the capital allocation standpoint, there's so many investment rounds happening at crazy valuations and big amounts. At the same time, what we see, so we see two things, right? We see that the capabilities of models, whether they are big, generic, or smaller, which I fully agree with you, it makes more sense, we see these are accelerating so fast, their capabilities. At the same time, we see that the deployment timelines are huge. Pitch decks assume quick deployments to customers. We're going to have 100, 200 robots in a month. And then we see that it's so slow in materializing. So there's a big gap between these two. Why is this happening? And what is the key to unlock the industry adoption?
It's happening because nobody has the playbook. We are writing the playbook right now. How you deploy physical AI. And physical AI is not only about the model. You see a lot of companies on LinkedIn saying, I announced today, drum roll, model 3.5. And look, it can cook pasta. Who cares? How you deploy the model, how you take the model and you put it within an intelligence layer that will make it work in an industry context. And what I mean by that, industry is not waiting for your model to take it and integrate it by itself. You need to have a full layer that coordinates different machines, that takes care of safety constraints, certification constraints. Nobody has the playbook. Everybody is trying to write their own playbook, but at different directions, simultaneously. Some people go this direction, we go this direction. And it's confusing because investors, from their point of view, they say, okay, general AI means scalability. Scalability is great, it means more money, but at the expense of reliability. So the footnote is not evident to everybody. And they say, okay, here is, I don't know, my bank account, how much money do you want? Yeah. Because it feels that generalization capability equals scalability.
And does that mean for these generic models, the capital requirements are different compared to other approaches? So I'm trying to see the 1 billion rounds versus...
Absolutely. And you don't need huge models to be highly successful. Let me give you some numbers. You can easily deploy robots and you can collect their salaries, the salaries of the robots. We are talking about a robot workforce. And in Central Europe, people are willing to pay 2,000 per month, 2,500 per month euros, because this is a significant cost reduction when you compare it with humans, and we are not replacing humans. They cannot find humans. The labor gaps, they are huge. You travel to Germany, you travel to Belgium, you travel all around Europe, and they are looking for people, and the new generation does not want to come and work in a factory line. Okay, this is a problem, a huge problem. So if you have been collecting the salary of a robot worker with 2,000 euros per month, and you have 1,000 deployments, do the math. We're talking about a huge company, right?
Where are you in your funding journey, and where are you in your customer journey?
We just finished raising around 11.5 million. We are growing very, very fast. Why I came back to Greece, sorry, you asked me later and I didn't reply. Because Greece invented physical AI, sorry, this is true, and, and I mean, 2,500 years ago, I don't want to make this personal, and it's time for physical AI to come back home. And here, I mean, back there, I see engineers from a student team. Raise your hands. Yeah, there, you see, talent. That's why I came back.
Are you hiring?
Absolutely. Come and find me. I'm hiring. Yeah.
Good. So we've been speaking about physical AI, what it is, where it gets stuck, what are the opportunities.
Shall we give them the option to ask also something?
My final question,
Yep.
and if we have time, we do that, is what's the ambition? Is Europe
The
going to
ambition
build
is-
anything of this, or
No.
will we be users of US and Chinese tech?
We need to be more greedy. Sorry, guys, we need to be more greedy. Everybody in Europe and in Greece. I came back to Greece, and because of austerity, the people here, they didn't have ambition. We lost the opportunity to participate in Industrial Revolution 1, 2, 3, and 4. In 4, Industry 4, we're focusing on European projects, and we're doing research. Industry 5 will be all about ultra-flexible automation, robot-based automation. The factories will be smaller, will be more agile, will be more flexible. We can use a Trojan horse moment where we jump from all the previous revolutions to the 5th. It's very Greek, and we can do it. And why we can do it? Because we have, and this is very funny for me, we have the talent. And we have been training this talent for 30 years. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we won't have time for
And
questions.
we can have trillion-dollar companies based in Europe, many of them in physical AI, easily. It's up to us. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This guy is going to be here the whole day, so you can catch him.